Getting laid off sucks. You can barely see straight, much less think straight. Try getting laid off at 7 months pregnant. I've been there, I've done it, and I've compiled 9 things you have to do once you get laid off to protect yourself and get reemployed faster. Welcome to Modern Frugality. My name is Jen. I'm a personal finance writer and amateur YouTuber, here to help you navigate your finances frugally and build a secure financial foundation. If you are a subscriber, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you don't need this video too much, but if you do and you want more information on how to save money and spend smarter, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right-hand corner, and I put out new videos every week to help you do just that. And like this video if this is the kind of stuff that you want more of specifically. Let's reminisce. In March of 2019, I was 30 weeks pregnant. I was a staff writer for a Inc. 5000 top fastest growing media company, and I'm called into a meeting with 20 of my coworkers, and we don't know what the meeting is about. And the owner of the company proceeds to tell us that they're making cutbacks and everyone's job in the room has been cut. And then after that, you walk out of the meeting and find that it wasn't just the 20 of you that were in that room that lost their jobs, but 20 to 25 more people around the company also lost their jobs. So 45 people laid off in one day for no fault of our own. And let me remind you, I'm also 30 weeks pregnant, so I expected in 10 weeks to have an 8-week maternity leave. I was counting on that. And instead, I'm let go with a 5-week severance, and I'm not bitter about it, but it was hard. And so I know what it's like to be laid off and not have any idea it's coming. So it was a blessing and a curse at the time that turned out to be a complete blessing. And part of that was because I knew what to do after I left that job to get on my feet faster. Following these 9 tips will help you get to wherever you want to go faster. And you will save yourself so much hassle years down the road. When people don't do this, they regret it. So if you are watching this, try to set aside some of your emotions and follow these 9 steps, and you will be a lot happier later on in life. Even if you don't want to follow all of them, just do it. You will thank yourself later. The first one is to get your stuff. This may be too late for you if you're watching this video later, but if you have the opportunity to get back into the office, get all your stuff. So that doesn't just mean your personal items, but maybe items that the company gifted you. Don't assume that those things belong to the company. If they gifted you something to use that they will not reuse for anybody else, don't let them trash it. Take it with you. There is a little wrist pad that I used when I typed, and I left that there because I was like, oh, it's the company's. And in hindsight, I'm like, they are not gonna let somebody else use that. They're gonna toss it. That thing is in the trash right now, and I would much rather have it. I'd actually use it. So little things like that. If you think they're going to trash it, take it with you. Obviously, that does not include hardware and tech and stuff like that. But little things. Take all of the stuff that you used that will not be reused again. And take any contacts, examples of work, anything that will help you get a job in the future that is not a breach of contract or illegal. So you're not taking contacts in order to steal them away from the company. You're really taking references is what you're taking. When people call and ask about projects that you worked on or people you worked with, they want to know how you work with other people. You're just taking examples of the work you do and how you do it so you can show future employers. Set things up the way you want to be remembered to people on the outside of the company. Second is to familiarize yourself with your termination paperwork. This is super important. Don't just file those things aside and not read them. This is something that you should read the whole thing. I distinctly remember signing a non-compete with my company, and for some reason in the mass layoff, that magically disappeared. But I would have just assumed that, and I would have stayed out of my industry for an entire year for no reason if I hadn't read that paperwork and then double checked with HR and the owner of the company to say, hey, this is not my paperwork, nobody is familiar with it, and I'm gonna do this. So I let everybody know in advance what I was gonna do so that nobody could come at me later and nothing can come back and bite me in the butt. Your termination paperwork will talk about stuff like non-competes. It'll also talk about your severance pay and your severance benefits. Those are super important to know how you're being paid if you are being paid severance payments. In a mass layoff, you don't get to negotiate severance pay or benefits. If you are being laid off due to lack of work or smaller downsizing in the company, you can negotiate severance pay and benefits. Don't be afraid to do that. You have every right to do that. I'm going to put a link in the description that dives a little bit more deep into how you can negotiate that and kind of what you can expect to negotiate. And you can negotiate in unpaid sick leave or vacation, stuff like that. Third is to know what you're owed and when and how you're getting it. So some states require your last check upon termination to be paid immediately. Some states, like where I'm at in Florida, it was paid normally. You can opt to have your severance in a lump sum or paid out normally, weekly or bi-weekly. Ask HR how they intend to pay you so that you are prepared, because your bills will keep coming at the same time. And you can change the payment date of your bills, but you cannot as easily change when those last payments for your work are coming in. And read your onboarding paperwork. You could be entitled to all of that vacation and sick leave. So if you have it, go back into that paperwork and see what you're entitled to. You are responsible for knowing what you are owed and finding out when you will receive it. Fourth is to decide on health insurance. This was huge for us. It was actually a huge stressor, knowing that I was going to give birth in 10 weeks. And actually, I had a seizure, probably due to stress, but they say it's from low magnesium. I had it 4 weeks after I was laid off. So health insurance is not something to be glossed over. You have to make a plan for it as soon as possible. You have two options mainly. The first is COBRA. That is the federal legislation that says you can continue your employer's health insurance coverage if you are laid off, not fired, but laid off. So you usually have 30 days to enroll in that after your termination. As of this recording today, like right now, you actually have 60 days, but typically it's 30 days. When you sign up for COBRA, you're keeping your same plan, but you are paying a lot more for it. Your employer subsidizes that payment, and on COBRA, you'll have to pay what your employer subsidizes and a 2% administration fee. It's super expensive, but sometimes it can't be gotten around, and you have to keep that. If you had a high deductible health plan with an HSA you were contributing to, you can pay your COBRA premiums out of your HSA. I mentioned that in the HSA and FSA video I did a few weeks ago. So decide if COBRA is what you want to go with. Your other option is to check the open marketplace for it. So private insurers, check your Medicaid availability. That's the first thing I did, was I checked for pregnancy Medicaid. I did not qualify, and that was a big hassle to go through. And then also healthcare.gov. See if you qualify for anything through there. Those are the 3 places that are going to offer you a better price. But you cannot pay for premiums out of your HSA for those, only for COBRA. So decide which of those you are going to go with. If you had an FSA with your employer, then unfortunately you do lose that money once you are laid off. If you have quite a bit of money in your FSA and you really don't want to lose it, you do have the option of continuing that coverage with COBRA for a month or 2, and you can use all the money during that time. You cannot use your FSA to pay for COBRA premiums. That's just not an eligible purchase, but you can use up that money as quickly as possible so that you don't lose it, and then go to a more affordable healthcare plan. So average out the costs for you and figure out if you should use it or if it's worth just losing it. 5th is to file for unemployment. Unemployment is the biggest joke the government has ever told. It's horrible. I was really banking on making unemployment my maternity leave, and I think I made it through 1 week of payments, and I could not keep up with everything they were asking for because they were asking for it in certain time frames. And I did this process over and over and over, and I got paid less than $400 when I really deserved way more than that. So unemployment will also be the bane of your existence. That's just how they've set it up. That is an intentional flaw in the system. So get ready for it, get prepared. The best advice I can give is to schedule these times in your phone, set alarms, prioritize your schedule around it. Unfortunately, that is the way they set it up to be. The 6th thing is to ask for letters of recommendation. If you plan on going to another employer, then now is the time to capitalize on that guilt that people at your company feel for laying you off, even though you're a great employee, and ask for letters of recommendations on LinkedIn, anything that will make you more employable in the future. This is the time to not be shy and ask for anything and everything that you want. Literally, people will not feel guilty for long. So you have to go in there ASAP and get those letters so that you can get reemployed faster. Time is money, and unemployment, who knows how long we'll be able to keep that up. So you want to get reemployed as quickly as possible, and you can do that more easily when you get really good letters of recommendation from the people that just let you go. 7 is to roll over your 401k. No matter how little is in your 401k, you don't want to roll your 401k over into your new 401k. What you want to do is you want to roll it over into a individual retirement account known as an IRA. Most of the times, 401ks are traditional, so you're rolling it over into a traditional IRA. Some people do contribute to Roth 401ks, so then you just roll that over into a Roth IRA. It's better to roll over your 401k into an IRA because you have total control over an IRA. You don't have control over what your 401k was or what your next 401k will be, who it's with, what it can be invested in. You don't know what the fees will be. You want to have your 401ks consolidated into as few accounts as possible so that you have better control over them. You're paying fewer fees because you'll pay a fee for every account you have open. It's just part of doing business. It's part of investing. So have as few accounts as possible so that you pay as few fees as possible. I don't care if you have $100 in your 401k. Do not take it out as a cash payment. Don't do it. Roll it over. You can call customer service at any of these companies. They really want your money, and so they will really help you roll that over into their account. They will hold your hand and walk you through it. So don't worry about being confused on it. Call them up and they will walk you through what to say to the old company and how to roll that over. This next one is one that took me a very long time to do. I regret waiting this long. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this video. It's because I feel so dumb about it. 8 is to change your HSA email. Like a dummy, I left my HSA in my work email because I said, oh, I have the email, I have the password, I'm fine, I'm set. Fast forward 6 months and I'm trying to check why it won't update in Personal Capital, because that's how I manage all of my finances and is through Personal Capital, and I can't log in. For some reason, my work email has stopped working and I can't reset the password because I don't have access to that email. And half of the HR staff was laid off the same day I was. So I don't even know anybody at the company to contact. So I still had access to my HSA, I just couldn't get in there. So I had to call PNC to regain access of my HSA. But don't assume accounts in your work email address will just stay there. Change the email addresses, change the passwords, get control of any account that remains yours after employment. That includes your 401k if you're waiting to roll it over. The last thing to do after you get laid off is to reevaluate what you actually want to do with your life. It is very rare that you get a period of time to think about where you want to go, to get to a fork in the road and have the choice, be forced into the choice of staying on the same path or choosing a new path. So take this time to think about the trajectory you were on, and even if you were happy, how you can improve on it, how you can do something better. Maybe right now is the time that you take that certification program that makes you more promotable. Maybe it's the time that you take an online course that helps you create a side business so that your next job isn't your last job, that it's just a means to an end. That's what this job was for me that I got laid off of. It was a stepping stool. So maybe your next job is a stepping stool. Or maybe you don't go back to work at all. Maybe you dive into starting a business that you've always wanted to start, but you've always been too afraid to leave your job for. Maybe now is the time you do that. You've never had more time on your hands than right now. So think about what you want to do moving forward. Don't head in the same path because you think you have to. Even if you do get another job, you've set things in place that make you more employable. You've gotten those letters of recommendations, you've gotten examples of what you're capable of work, but maybe it's just a stepping stool to get you to where you really want to be long term. So those are the 9 things that you should be doing when you get laid off. Don't let your emotions and your exhaustion keep you from doing those things. They're super important for setting you up later in life, and they will take away a lot of stress off your plate if you just get them done sooner rather than later. If you liked this video, then subscribe at the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to have more helpful videos coming out every Monday and Thursday, and I will hope to see you later.